Okay. How many of you think here that migrants are good for regional development? Bingo. Australian government also thinks like you. So that is why over the last 10 years, it has pushed about 187,000 migrants into regional towns. And guess what? Only 40% stayed back. So what's going on here? But you look at an example like Shepparton. Everybody heard of Shepparton? Yeah? Interestingly, the fact that you've heard about it, it says that the town has got some meaning, there's some activity going on, some vibrancy. Now, if you look closely, Shepparton, besides having churches, has 5 mosques, a place for Buddhist worship, and a Sikh temple. So is there a connection between some kind of religious infrastructure for migrants and migrants staying back in the region? My research is about exploring this assumption that if we provide good religious and cultural infrastructure, migrants will stay back. So that's a crux. Why should we really talking about faith and religion in planning? There are 2 problems here. The first, we don't know much. We don't know enough. In fact, we don't know anything about migrants in regional areas. In metropolitan areas, it's a different story. In regional areas, we typically talk about multiculturalism. We talk about economic contribution of migrants, but we don't talk about the religion. Why? That's a little dangerous arena we don't want. Most of the times, government policy, discourse, everything, they just talk about religion at the distance because you don't want that mingling with the secular planning that we have. And this is something that raises a lot of questions. Bendigo protest in the last few years has been a case in point. Second, migrants are much more than economic entities. In fact, for migrants, culture is very closely intertwined with their religion. In fact, everything cultural has something religious attached to it. But we tend to neglect them. We want only migrant laborers. We don't want migrant as a holistic package. And therefore, we don't really provide for that services that are required. If you pitch that against the most recent data from census, 2016 census data suggests that only half of the Australians now proclaim Christianity as religion. Almost 30% say no religion, and a staggering 8.2% as of now are belonging to new religions, which are enumerated as Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, and Islam. Which means we need to talk about these people and their needs. Migrants don't need places for worship, or they just come and work 9 to 5 and go back. No, there is a whole range of things that they do. How do we understand these new spaces? This is what my research is about. How do people in regional areas interact with other people, interact with their own self, how they create their religious infrastructure, their practices, because all of that is going to create new neighborhoods. It's going to create need for new social infrastructure, which we don't have as of now in the planning system. So on one hand, my study involves looking at 4 towns, 4 regional towns, and looking at how migrants negotiate these spaces in the private and public sphere. The photo up there is of a Sikh celebration in a playground. So this is an absolutely important aspect. It's the culture is much more than a showcase. It's also about identity. It's about religious belief. It's about the freedom to practice religion in public and private domains together. But is our planning capable of handling this? Is it capable of addressing these new requirements? We'll see new neighborhoods coming up. We'll see new kind of infrastructure coming up. Now, my argument is if we are able to incorporate faith, inverted commas, in planning, it's a pun. You need to understand from both the sides. We believe in planning. We can have faith in planning. It is possible that planning can deliver great amount of social infrastructure for migrants to stay back. And most importantly, if we can overturn this trend from 40 to 60% migrants staying back in the region, then we would have done great service to the region and the sustainable development of our regional Australia. Thank you very much.